surprise of no one, Stoke City have been relegated after their 2-1 home defeat to Crystal Palace. This isn't a surprise. This was always really going to happen. And it's all gone wrong for Stoke this season. It really has, in every competition. So they started off and things looked okay. They beat Arsenal with Rodriguez or Hesse scoring their only goal in that 1-0 win. 2 games later they drew Manchester United, the first team to take points off Manchester United. And then it all went wrong, losing to Newcastle, Chelsea. Manchester City put 7 past them, and they only picked up they've only picked up 11 points under Paul Lambert. That's 1 win, a 7% win ratio. No wonder this team has gone down. I don't know what they were doing in the summer. I mean, in the FA Cup, they lost to Coventry, who are playing in League 2. In the EFL Cup, or the League Cup, they lost to Bristol City. The transfers. This is where things went wrong. They got rid of some big characters. The likes of Jonathan Walters, Glenn Whelan, Marko Arnautovic, and Hosselu also went, as well as Jonathan Walters, who was a big character. Those are big characters. Big characters. Especially the likes of Bardsley going. You know, big character. And Walters is a big character. In came Darren Fletcher. Okay. He's been about a bit. Choupo-Moting, Bruno Martins-Indy, Kevin Wimmer, Boer, and Dye. And then the loans. They brought in Kurt Zouma and Jesse Rodriguez. Jesse Rodriguez has scored once in the Premier League. He was a fucking awful signing. They really hyped him up as being the superstar, and he was just been awful. He's gone back. That's how bad he's been. He's been awful. They needed that signing to work, and it didn't. Berahino, they needed him to start scoring goals, and he hasn't. So Darren Fletcher's an okay signing, but Kevin Wimmer, who hasn't been seen for fucking months, cost 18 million. 18 million for Wimmer. I bet, Tottenham are well pleased with their 18 million for him. I mean, Choupo-Moting hasn't scored enough goals. But, that's not a surprise. And that's not a surprise because he didn't score goals in Germany. He scored 5 goals this season. Last season he scored 3 in the Bundesliga for Schalke. So, unless he was going to have a miraculous, turnaround, he wasn't going to score enough goals, and they haven't scored enough goals. They've drawn too many games. They got rid of some experienced players, and it hasn't happened for them. Kurt Zouma, he should have been a great signing, but that didn't work out. A 7% win ratio is absolutely awful. It's dreadful. And I don't know when Stoke will come back. They've been here a long time. It's crazy. They have the most winners of the Champions League in the Premier League. They've got Hesse, who's won the Champions League. Ibrahim Afellay. Bojan's won the Champions League. Shaqiri's won the Champions League. I mean, and the problem is, they're bit part players. They are. I mean, Jimmy Touré's won the Champions League. That doesn't make him a fucking good player. So, they lost it in the transfer window. They spent big money on Kevin Wimmer. They spent, decent money on Ndai. Looking at their squad, it could be, a big clear out at Stoke. Jack Butland will probably go. Joe Allen will probably go. And they'll be stuck with big players on big contracts like Stephen Ireland, Glenn Johnson, Saido Berahino, Charlie Adam, Ryan Shawcross. Those won't probably leave because nobody will be interested in them. Their squad is rather old as well. It's not gone their way, and their season didn't really ever. There was no point after those games. It just went downhill. They shipped loads of goals under under Mark Hughes, and then couldn't score under Paul Lambert. It's not been a good season, and the fact is they have been relegated. They probably will struggle, and it's going to be a season of change. No doubt about it. The problem is, where do they go from here? Do they continue with Paul Lambert? In his time as chairman, Peter Coates has only sacked Mark Hughes, and then he's had Tony Pulis, so he's had very, very few managers. So maybe he will give him, the chance. Personally, I get rid of him. It was a stupid appointment. Everyone could see it wasn't going to work. I listened to something called the Totally Football Show with James Richardson. It's a podcast on a Monday and a Thursday. And the news was announced when they were recording, and one of the pundits, Julien Laurent, who's a French journalist, just went, "Oh my God, why?" And he was proved right. And I feel sorry for the Stoke fans, I really do. But the writing's been on the wall for a while. They won their first game under Lambert, and then it's just gone south. It just hasn't happened for them. There's a lot of players over 30 who, will be just sat there picking up a paycheck now. Stephen Ireland, one start. Sado Berahino, 3 starts. I mean, Butland's going to be going. Butland will not be a Stoke player next season. And he doesn't deserve to be, because he's so much better than that club. Stoke have dropped 18 points in the league from winning positions. And just in the last month alone, they lost to Palace today. They were 1-0 up against Burnley and drew. And they were 1-0 up with 10 minutes to go, and they drew with West Ham. Just those 6 points alone would put them above the relegation zone. Although 7 points, they'd probably stay up if they won those. But that's what happens to the sides that get relegated. It haven't been good enough. They've conceded 67 goals. That's the joint most. West Ham have conceded the equal amount. They scored 33 goals, which most of them were scored under Mark Hughes. Mark Hughes hasn't taken this team down, despite what people ring up and say on 606. Paul Lambert's taken them down. Paul Lambert's taken them down. I think they picked up 11 points under him. So, who knows? But, I think that it's a massive rebuilding job at Stoke, and they need to get these players off these big contracts and start again. I think that they will not come back. I think they're going to struggle for a couple of years. Maybe they'll come back in, 5 years. But they've been in the Premier League for a long, long time. Around 10, 11, 12 years. And they've done okay in that time. I think they've qualified for Europe once. They got to the FA Cup final, lost to Manchester City. They've had numerous top 10 finishes. But, sometimes you need to go back to go forward. This has been on the cards for a while. And they are the first team to get relegated from the Premier League, and will probably be joined by West Brom soon. As of recording, it is 0-0 at half-time at the Hawthorns. So, do you think that Stoke will bounce back? And do you think that they should stick with Paul Lambert? Let me know down below. Join me for the review later. Thank you so much for watching. I am Mike, and I will see you soon.